Hey, everybody. Hey, Yosha. Hey, Lynetta. Give me a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. All right. So let me go ahead and record. Oh, it's already recorded. All right. So welcome, everybody. B. Marquita here. For those of you who do not know me, I help people create their backdrop empires with just backdrops and laptops. So again, my name is B. Marquita, aka the Backdrop Plug. And on every Tuesday, unless it's postponed for whatever reason, we have these Tutorial Tuesday calls at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So that's 7 Eastern and 4 Pacific. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started because, like always, I don't like a lot of fluff and I don't like to have you all on the calls longer than necessary. So today I wanted to do a Boss Baby backdrop because I noticed that they've been picking up a lot more in my store, but more specifically like the big head Boss Babies where you put like an actual image on a Boss Baby head. So I'm going to walk through that today. So let me share my screen. As soon as I can find a button. There we go. All right, give me a 2 in the chat if you can see my GIMP screen. Right now, it's like an Aladdin theme that I've been working on earlier today. So give me a 2 in the chat if you can see that. All right, so y'all can see and hear me. I'll go ahead and get started. So I want to create a square backdrop. As you can see, this is not a square that I've been working on, but I'm going to close out of that. Actually, let me save my work. I didn't realize I didn't close out of them before I got on the call. My bad. Hey, Melissa. Hey, Shonda. Hey, Stephanie. Hope everybody's doing well today. Let me close out of this one. And let me save. Come on, computer. And let me save and close this one also. So I can start with a blank screen. All right. So if you have taken any of my courses or mini classes, or even got the starter kit, you learned how to set up your GIMP screen to look like this. So I'm not going to walk through that part. If you need to refer back to any of those trainings, please do so, because this is going to be my starting point for all tutorials. So I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go to Open, because I already have a template. So I'm just going to find my template folder. And like I said, I want to create a square backdrop because that is what's the most popular. And that's what will be added to the template crew membership. All right, so here is my square canvas, and it is a 6,000 pixel by 6,000 pixel. And as you can see, I already have my logo on my template as well as my watermark. If I turn up the opacity, you can see it a little better. Okay. So first thing I want to do is I want to rename my template by going to File, Save As, and name it whatever you want to name it, whatever works best for your naming convention, and save it to the folder that you need to save it to. So I'm going to save it to my backdrops folder and click on Save. So that's the first thing. Lynetta said, ooh, I like that. Thank you. I don't know which one you were talking about, but thank you. All right. So I said I was going to do the boss baby. So the first thing that I want to do is find an image of a baby that I want to put that I want to use for the head. I don't have one like in my orders yet, like not for the custom ones that aren't already done. So I'm going to go to Google. And I'm going to find a black baby. Oh, some cuties. Let's see which one I want to use. So let's say I want to do this little cutie with all the curly hair. So I'm just going to copy it and paste it back in my GIMP screen. So once you copy, you're going to go to Edit, Paste as, New Layer. So again, Edit, Paste as, New Layer. And we're doing that step because I copied the image. Now, if I had this image saved to my desktop or to somewhere on my computer, I would go to File, Open as Layers. So either way, you want to do it as layers so that you stay on the same file. Give me a 3 in the chat if that makes sense. Always as layers, no matter whether you do the copy, edit, paste as layers, or file, open as layers. All right. We got some 3s. We'll continue. All right. So let me turn my watermark off. To do that, you just click on the eyeball to the left of the layer you want to turn off to turn off the visibility, and then to turn it off. Now what we're going to do is we're going to remove the background from this image. We're also going to remove his body because we're going to be putting it on our Boss Baby cartoon once we get to it. So first, as you can see, it's rather small compared to our actual canvas size. So what we need to do is scale this layer. So here's our pasted layer. It's selected. We're going to use our scale tool, which looks like a small square pointing down to the right to a larger square. Click on that tool. And then you're going to drag from the edges or from the corners. Once you see this pop up, you can see that you can change it by typing in a size for the width or the height, or you can use the up and down arrows, or like I was just saying, you can drag the corners or the sides. But when you're scaling images, you want to make sure that this lock is linked because that's going to make sure that it maintains the aspect ratio, which means it's going to scale proportionately. Now, if this is unlinked, this is what it look like if I pull from one of the edges. See how it distorts the image? We don't want that to happen. So I'm going to reset it, lock it back, and scale it up. All right. And then I like to go ahead and crop it. So I'm going to crop just his head by using my crop tool, which looks like 2 right angles crossed over each other to make a square. And you want to make sure in the sub menu that pops up, the current layer only is selected. So make sure that you see this check mark where my mouse is hovering. So then we're just going to click and drag right outside of the area we want. You can move these boundaries in or out. But once you get it to where you want it to be, hit enter on your keyboard, and it's going to crop just that part of the image. Okay. So did the cropping make sense? Type the word crop if that made sense in the chat. So I scaled it and cropped it. So if those two steps made sense, put crop in the chat. All right, we got some crops. So now what we're going to do is remove the background. Now, some people prefer to use remove.bg. I'm not the biggest fan. It is good for what is, good for, but sometimes it's a little faulty because sometimes it removes too much of the background or not enough. So I would just go ahead and clean it up in GIMP while I'm here and just keep it all in one application. So to do that, my favorite way is to use the free select tool, which looks like a lasso. So if I click on that, you'll see that my cursor turns into a lasso. And then I'm just going to zoom in by either going to view, zoom in, or by just holding down the shift key and hitting the plus key a couple times. When I say a couple, more like 7. But you want to zoom in as much as possible so that your removal is crisp. Because if not, it's going to look a little jagged because you didn't zoom in enough. So you're just going to pick a side. For some reason, I always choose the right bottom corner, wherever you want to start. Just want to click to start your background removal. So you just click anywhere, but you want to let go of the mouse. Don't drag on this step. Just move your cursor over to the next point and click. So I'm literally just moving my mouse and clicking, not dragging. So put move, click in the chat so I know that you're paying attention. And you want to make sure that you stay just inside of the very edge of the foreground of the image. Because if not, it will cause a weird glow effect once you remove the background, and it's going to pull from the background color. And we don't want that to happen. So move, click, and you're just going to scroll around your canvas. You can be as detailed as you want with the curls. If you mess up, you can just click a point and drag it to where you want it to be. So just move and click. Now, I usually am a little more precise than this, but for the sake of time, I'm going just a little bit faster and not being as clean as OCD as I typically am. That's what I should say, because I am pretty meticulous. And I don't know what made me choose curly hair today, because that is the hardest thing to remove. Move, click, though. And if I need to, I'll remove some of this white that's going to be left later on. Literally moving and clicking, going around my canvas, staying inside of the edge. And the closer your points are together, the more precise and cleaner your removal will be as well. So you have to just play around with this to get used to it. So like I just did, grab an image off of Google if you don't have one saved on your computer, and just practice your background removals. You're gonna click outside. Now we're gonna go outside of the image. Scroll back across. Oh, I said I need to cut off the outfit too, but okay. Go to the starting point. Once you click on the starting point, you'll see these marching ants. Let me zoom out by hitting my minus key. So now you can see that this is the selection, but we want to remove the background. So we need to invert this selection. So to do that, we're going to go to select, invert, or if you're a keyboard junkie like me, Control I to invert, or if you're on Mac, Command plus I to invert. But again, select, invert. And now you can see that the marching ants or the moving dotted line move to the edges of the image. So that's how we know the background is going to be removed. So then we're going to go to Edit, Clear, or you can just do Delete on your keyboard. And that's going to remove the background. Then to turn off the selection, because we don't want to keep manipulating it, we're going to go to Select None. So we did Select Invert to invert the selection to the background. Then we did Edit Clear to remove the background. And then we went to Select None to turn off the selection. And I'm actually going to do it real quick again because I want to remove his shirt, because we're doing just the head. We may need to keep the neck. So I'm going to remove his clothes. I'm going to keep the neck. I don't know if I'm going to need it yet, but just in case, I'll keep it. So same thing, click move. Select the areas you want to remove. Click outside of the image and then go back to the starting point. So because this is what we want to remove, we don't need to invert this time. Just go to Edit Clear. Select None. I'm going to grab this part too. Edit Clear or delete on the keyboard. Select None. Zoom out. All right, so we have just the head. All right. So let's go ahead and save it. Just in case our GIMP decides it wants to be cray-cray. Always save periodically. Now what we want to do, because now we have the head, we want to go and grab our Boss Baby image. So I already have them saved to my computer. I'll include one of them with the replay for the Blueprint monthly members and for the template crew members. So you'll have one of the Boss Babies already. Otherwise, you have to go on there on Etsy or somewhere and buy your own. All right, so we're gonna go to File, Open as Layers. Remember, everything is as layers. I'm gonna go to my graphics folder and find my Boss Baby. It's for a boy. And as you can see, I'm actually gonna go through my folder first so y'all can see all of them. So as you can see, I went ahead and bought a lot of Boss Babies because I noticed that those orders are starting to pick up on my store. And let's see which one I want to grab. Let's say I want to do this blue suit number 5 that's pointing. So I'm gonna go back to my GIMP. And that was just the easier way for me to find the one I wanted without waiting on these images to load. So blue suit number 5, click on open. She said, yes, indeed, you have them all. Yep. Once I see something trending, I go ahead and start purchasing. So I already have it. And so I can start knocking those orders out. All right. So what I'm going to do now is, because I already have the head, I need to remove the head from the boss baby. So I'm going to turn off the other layer real quick. And then I'm just going to do the exact same thing I just did a minute ago with the background removal, but it's going to be a foreground removal of the head, but using the same tool. So free select tool. And then we're going to zoom in if we need to. And then I'm going to find my starting point, wherever that is for me. Click and move. Let me zoom out. And then just click outside of the image until we get back to the starting point. And again, because this is not a background removal, we've literally selected what we want to remove. We do not have to invert. We can just go to edit, clear, or delete on your keyboard. Select none. Okay, so give me a 4 in the chat if that makes sense so far. And turn the head back off. So we kept the head of the child, removed the head from the boss baby. Oh, I'm giving y'all a little advanced training today. All right, so now we need to use the move tool, which looks like a crossbar. Select that tool, and then you can click and drag the head to where you want it to be. And of course, you can see the head is a little bit smaller than necessary. So we need to scale it up using our scale tool, which I mentioned before when we first started. So just scale and move until we get it to where it needs to be. So I'm actually going to remove the, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and remove the neck. So I'm going to zoom in a little more on the child image. Let's use the free select tool again. Delete, select none. I just hit Shift Control A is another keyboard shortcut to turn off the selection, just in case you all were like, oh, she skipped a step. I told you I'm a keyboard junkie. And I tried to do it through the toolbar, but if I ever do something and y'all like, what the heck did she do? Just slow me down and I'll go back to it. So move tool, and I'm actually gonna move this layer up. As you can see, it's behind the boss baby suit. We want it to be above it. So we're gonna click on this layer and drag it up. So now you can see it actually looks like it fits better. But because of the way his head is tilted, now I'm gonna flip his head vertically. Is that right? Horizontally? One of them. But how you do that is using the flip tool. And the flip tool looks like 2 arrows pointing away from each other. Give me a second, let me grab some water. Okay, so the flip tool, 2 arrows pointing away from each other, and it's going to be horizontal. So we're going to flip it horizontally, which is mirror image. So you can do that and move it. Play around with the sizing. You can also rotate it if you don't like the way it flips. Like if the head is not tilted and it's straight up, you can rotate the head by using the rotate tool. And the rotate tool that's beside the scale tool is 2 curved arrows going around each other with rectangles. So if you need to use that tool, you can do that. Click on rotate. And now you see that we now have a big head, what they call the big head, on a Boss Baby body suit. So give me a 6 in the chat if that makes sense so far. Awesome. Now what we can do, we can merge these 2 layers together so that they're not separate layers by clicking on the topmost layer and then clicking on merge this layer, which is the 6th icon in our layers window. Or you can right click it and go to where it says merge down. And you want to make sure that those layers are right under each other. So merge down. This is now 1 layer. So if I turn it off and turn it back on, this is 1 layer. And because I'm OCD, I like to go ahead and crop the layer down to save space by going to layer, all the way down to crop the content. And you'll see that this yellow dotted line is gonna fit exactly around the edges of this image. So layer, crop the content, and now here's our new boundary for this layer. Let me go ahead and save so I don't lose my work. All right, so now to the background and balloons and text, because that was actually the hardest part, in my opinion, of doing a Boss Baby Big Head design. So I'm gonna go in, see which Boss Baby logo I want to use. Oh, that was the end of it. I was like, what's going on with my computer? I'll grab 11 just for whatever reason. I don't know why. So again, file. Can somebody tell me what we do now? If it's already saved to our computer, once we go to file, let's see who says it the quickest. So what's after file? Dun, dun, dun. Open as, no, not open as new. Yes, open as layers. Glad y'all paying attention. Good job. So I'm gonna go back, grab that logo. I said 11. Open. There's our Boss Baby logo. Use the move tool to move it around. You can move him around. So I chose this one because the blue is slightly off, as you can see. And I want to show you how to change the color quickly with your images. I mean, with your layers, I'm sorry. So we're going to go to colors, our colors tab. As you can see, there are many different options that you can use. But for this one, I'm going to use hue saturation. And then because this is one color, one solid color, I'm not going to worry about selecting a color that we're going to adjust. But let's say that there were multiple colors and we just want to change one color, you're going to choose that color here or the closest color to it. So we're going to go to hue. You can play around with this. You will see that it changes the colors. So that's the easy way to change colors. Reset, or you can go to lightness, and that's going to change how light or dark the image is. Reset, or you can play with the saturation, and that's going to change how deep the color is. Or you can do a mix of each of these to get close to the color you need. So you can see I'm doing a mixture here. And this is pretty close to the color I need, unless my eyes are playing tricks on me. Once you get it to where you want it to be, click on OK. Okay, there we go. And then you can move it back. I just moved it close to the suit so I can see the color against each other easier. Center it, move it to wherever you want it to be. So a quick way to make sure that this is centered, which is beside the move tool, the alignment tool, it looks like a bar graph. And you'll see the different options for aligning here, right, center, or left, if I know my directions. Left, center, right, top, middle, down, bottom. So all you have to do is click on the layer. You'll see 4 squares, 1 at each corner. So if I move this down and then do it, you can see 1 at each corner. Center it. Click on center here, and that'll center it. Okay. So again, alignment tool, click on the image you want to align. Left, center, right, whatever you want to do. I'm going to leave the center and go on to the next part of your design. I'm actually going to move the layer up so it can be above the logo. And then we're going to find a background. Actually, I just want to do a solid color background for real. So to do a solid color background, we're going to click on the bottommost layer. So that once we add our new layer, it's going to be close to the bottom. Then we're going to do create new layer, which is the very first icon at the bottom of your layers window. You can name the layer. I'm going to name it background because the layer is going to be a solid color. We can go in and select the color that we want to use here first. And then you can select whether you want it to be the foreground color or the background color. So let's say I want to use the background color, which is black. Well, I know that because of my color palette here where I'm circling around. The foreground color is currently white. The background color is currently black. So let's say I want to choose the background color. Click on OK. So now you can see that it's a black background. It's actually not fully black. So I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna show you what I did. Click on the background color, and it's gonna open up where you can change it. And I'm just gonna drag this all the way down to the bottom right to get the HTML notation of all zeros, and that's a solid black. Click OK. Then I'm gonna use my bucket fill tool, which is literally a paint bucket with paint spilling. Change the after foreground color to black just by hitting those arrows here and fill in that ashy black. There we go. There's a solid black. All right. So as you can see here with the curls, when I say that is depending on how precise you want to be, I will go in and clean up where you can see the white background a little later, but this is just something real simple. All right, so any questions so far? If you need me to repeat anything real quick before I continue, let me know. But otherwise, put a 7 in the chat if you're following so far. 7 in the chat if you're following. If not, ask your question or the step you need me to repeat. All right, I see all 7s, but don't hesitate. If you have a question, go ahead and put it in there. So we're gonna add some balloons, and I guess I'll do some text down at the bottom, and then I'll be done for the evening. So File, Open as Layers. I'm gonna grab some balloons I have saved to my graphics folder. Let's see. These are the blue ones I like. And as you can see, here are the balloons. Here's the outline of the balloons anyway. That just means I need to move this layer up so I can see it in our layers window. Just drag it up. Now we can see the balloons. Use our move tool and our scale tool to make them big as we need them to be and move them to where we want them to be. So this is just your own personal preference. And I don't like this little circle right here, this little extra speck. So I'm going to use my eraser tool. Change the size to where I need it to be underneath where it says size. And just click on that to remove it. Now again, we can go in and change these colors. The blues are a little brighter than what I want them to be. See how it's changing everything as a unit. Now let's see if we select blue, if it'll only change that one. All right, see the difference? You can play around with that. Then let's say we wanted blue balloons on the other side. Let's duplicate this layer. Select the layer that we want to duplicate. You can either go to this 5th icon at the bottom, click on Create Duplicate, or you can right click and go to Duplicate Layer. Either way works. Use the Move tool, move it to the other side. Now these balloons, I probably should have done another color besides blue, but oh well. I like to flip because I like symmetry and stuff. But it's completely up to you. I'm gonna shrink them down Center him using the alignment tool. I'm just playing around with it now, y'all. But I am going to add a text layer so you all can see how to do a text layer today. So to create a text layer, oh wait, let me show y'all again. I always like to conserve space. So for each layer, I'm going to do layer, crop to content, layer, crop to content. I already did that one. Layer, crop to content, just to save space. Now, we're going to do our text layer. You're going to go to the black, bolded, capital A for the text tool. Click on that, and you'll see where it says text. You can select your font, your size, the color, the justification, the spacing, all that good jazz. But typically, you're not going to know what size to use because it's going to be determined. It varies based on the actual font itself and then the size of your canvas. So you're not always going to be working with a square. Sometimes you may be doing 5x7 or 4x6, something like that. So it just depends. So let's say I want to change the font. We're going to click on this square underneath text to the left of font, and you're going to see all the fonts that are installed on your computer. So don't be alarmed if you don't see some of the ones that I'm scrolling past on your computer. You would just need to download them. I like to use this cursive font. It's called Back to Black Demo. I think I got it from defont.com. So if you want that. And again, if you're in the template crew, I include the font in the template. So you can get it that way. So what you're going to do, let's change it to a color that we're going to see. So as you can see, the color selected is our foreground color, which is black. Let's say we want it to be this blue from our logo. So to change the color, we're just going to click in this box for color. Because we don't know the exact HTML notation, which is basically a number or a code for specific colors, we're going to use this eyedropper tool, which is right beside this HTML notation box. I'm getting tongue-tied. Click on that. You'll see that your cursor turns into a dropper. And then you just click anywhere where that blue is, and it's going to pull it. So you see it filled it in with 2800 BC. Click OK. Then we're just going to click in our design space where we want to start typing. Somebody give me a boy's name real quick in the chat. Give me a boy's name. Aiden. Okay, we got an Aiden. So we're just going to click in this canvas, start typing the name Aiden. So you can see here the size. This is a 740 on my screen with this particular text. If it's too small, you can make it bigger by highlighting it all, using the up arrows or the down arrows if it's too big already. Or you can type in another number and hit enter to change the size. Once you get it to the size you want it to be, use your move tools and your alignment tools to center. You move it up above the image if you want. So I think that looks pretty good so far. And then if you want to add like a shadow or an outline or anything, I'll show you how to do that really quickly before I get out of here. So select the layer that you want to add the outline to. Right click on it, alpha to selection. Or actually, no. I'm just going to do shadow today. Select the layer we want to add the shadow to. Go to filters, light and shadow. So select the layer you want to add the shadow to. Filters, light and shadow. And then you can go to long shadow. I'll show you what the long shadow looks like. So that's more of a solid shadow. Let's say we want it to be white. So you can see that there. You can play around with the angles by dragging this bar or moving this pointer around the circle. You can see the movement. Completely up to you and how you want it to look. You can change the length by dragging this length bar, making the shadow bigger or smaller. You can use the up and down arrows as well. You can change the color here, which y'all saw me do just a second ago. And then click on OK. And that's all I typically recommend here. So if you like that, you can click on OK. But let's say we want to do a drop shadow. So I just did edit, undo. Let's go to filters again, light and shadow, and drop shadow. So drop shadow is going to be more of a glow effect. Let's change the color so you can see it better. So here's the glow. You can change the direction, just like with the long shadow. You can increase the radius of the blur. Here's where you change the color again. You can increase or decrease the opacity to make it bolder or less bold. And then click on OK once you get it to how you want it to be. And you can also add shadow, both the drop shadow and the long shadow, to any layer. So let's say we want to add it to this logo layer, filters. And if you want it to be exactly like how you last did it, you can just go to repeat and it'll repeat that action. So there's a logo repeated. Let's say we want to do is image, filters, repeat. And it would do, oh, that's actually kind of cute. Put the drop shadow behind him as well. Now, I didn't do too much for the background today. I just did a solid color. So I'll just save that for a different tutorial, like adding images or whatever as the background, or textures or patterns for the background. So you want to save your work. So as you can see, it's not bad. You just have to know what you're doing and just take your time. So again, the replay is going to be in the monthly Blueprint membership. The birthday sale is still going on for $36 per month instead of the $97 per month. You can get that by going to B as in boy, day, so bday.backdropblueprint.com, bday.backdropblueprint.com. Also, the clip art that I use is going to be in there. But if you're in the template crew, you're going to get the full template, the font, the graphics, like the design file to edit it yourself. And yeah, that's it for the template crew. Had a brain fart for a second. All right, so any questions? If you're good to go, say this was fire, give me some emojis or something to let me know that you like today's training and you don't have any questions. So give me a fire in the chat or put your questions in the chat before I leave. All right, we got some fire. Stephanie says she loves it. Got some more fires. So now if y'all get somebody interested in the big head, and it doesn't even necessarily have to just be Boss Baby. If you want to put a head on another character, you know how to do it now. All right. So I don't see any questions on the Zoom. If you're not on Zoom, I do not see your questions, but I'm going to go back and answer them if you're on YouTube, Facebook profile, Facebook business page, or Twitter before I remove the replay. Because again, the replay is going to be in the monthly membership only. So thanks everybody for tuning in. I will see you. Let's see, when is the next call? We do have a Money Monday call coming up on the 27th. So that's just going to be a continuation on the business side of backdrops, like setting up your business structure, Etsy setup, getting everything set up for printing. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to be moving on to Shopify store setup on Monday. And then after that, on Tuesday, it'll be another Tutorial Tuesday. All right, so good night, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you on the next call. Bye.